Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we have your Fastlane recap, your New Japan Cup Finals recap with some good, with a lot of good, and then a little bit of bad at the end. We also have your Wednesday Night Wars. Andrade is the most attractive free agent for some time, if he has this podcast or that, and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Freedom! Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I am your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Every Kiss Begins with Kayfabe. And out there in Edwardsville, Illinois, we have Two Beer, Zach Pullman. What's going on, Two Beer?
Sitting on my front porch while it rains. I got two drinks next to me. I have had a rough couple days. I had the second COVID shot, which I had to call off work yesterday because I wasn't feeling good. But I basically just sat in that bed and watched TV all day, so don't threaten me with a good time. I'll do it again. Give me another shot.
Yeah, man. He's immunized just in time to leave us. Right. To my left, as always, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 198, chapter 3, verse 14, and the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Speaking of everybody leaving, my man, Two Beers, leaving to Portland. This man to my right finally got his contract locked down in a new house. He's leaving just in time for me to move down here. While I was 10 minutes away, now I'm gonna be like 30 minutes away. Congrats on the new house.
We're gonna go ahead, Zach.
White flight.
What did he say?
I said white flight. I was just joking around.
Oh, he said white flight.
Everybody that gets pregnant leaves the city and goes to the county. It's like a total thing.
Well,
I live in the county. I just live on the other side of the river, so I'm not judging. I live in the county.
Can I just? I'll just let me put it out there. This is why we're going. My sister lives really close. We're going to have a newborn. My sister lives really close. It's really close to her mom. It's much closer to my mom. And there are no black people out there. I mean, that is the number one thing. That's why we're going.
Yeah, so I'm there every other week. I say, who is this?
My kid's going to be listening to Wu-Tang forever. Disc 2 out the womb. Boy or girl, I don't care.
Okay. Now to say, is Wu-Tang something to fuck with?
No. No, Daddy.
That's going to be a good time. No, congrats on the house. A lot of shit to talk about. Andrade is a huge deal. I'm glad they got that taken care of before we did the podcast this week. And then, obviously, we got some recaps to catch up on. So, yeah, I'm excited. Let's do this damn thing.
All right, before we get started, we're coming from stormy South St. Louis in my basement. Not for the last time, but, for probably one of the last times.
Yeah.
The place is cleaned out. Before we get
Speaking
too far
of black
into
people.
it...
Yeah, I said it. Okay, I'll jump in. Go ahead.
Before we get too far into it, tell us about the F&B Eatery.
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette, home of the best smash burger you never heard of, but in times of Lent, they will switch it up on you. Look out for the blackened fish sandwich this weekend. It's going to have a little spicy remoulade, house-made coleslaw on it, and choice of side to go with that. That way, if you're trying to be good, because some of us like to be bad, like this guy personally, you can stay on track with your Lent promises to self. And if you're not doing meat, this is a good time to support local and keep yourself on track. So like I said, take the kids, slide on down to F&B Eatery, tell them that Banned from Ringside sent you.
Also going to talk about Bill's Beard Company. That is the company my wife started that has beard oil, beard balm, beard shampoo, shower bombs, bath bombs, all sorts of stuff. My wife is still like, we're trying to sell this house, and I'm saying, please keep the kitchen clean, but she has to make so much of this stuff that there's powder all over the place because that's how good it's selling. So,
is this New Jack City up there? Is this the Carter?
It's not that kind of powder.
I swear it's not a meth lab.
I don't know why you have to bring up cocaine every time. It's not cocaine, although, we will take special requests. Hit me up.
Are you guys moving to Jeff County? Is it meth?
You're right. For our global listeners, that's a funny joke. But yeah, hit me up at BFR Bill. We will sell it to you. We will ship it globally. And without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
I'll just say this. Charles Dickens wrote A Tale of Two Cities, and Sunday night was literally
He's heating up.
A Tale of Two Cities. Fastlane on Sunday night is the precursor pay-per-view to WrestleMania, obviously, and it felt like said precursor. My biggest takeaway from this is that Fastlane just needs to disappear. You have kind of fucked up to at least one of the bigger storylines with Bianca and Sasha. Bobby Lashley is not even on this card, which is not necessarily a big deal, but how many times can we see Drew and Sheamus beat each other down? I mean, good, but, if we haven't seen it 3 other times, it would probably be even better. Obviously, the main event starts to save this pay-per-view where you have Daniel Bryan apparently, I won't say apparently, I think it was a tap out. He taps out to Roman Reigns, in my opinion, no referee around. Edge decides to get involved after getting bumped accidentally by Daniel Bryan. I would consider that more accidental than anything else, but then I think Edge went to the dark side, proceeded to whack Daniel Bryan a couple times with the chair to help Roman Reigns secure the win. Now, as of our taping on Thursday, it is still a singles match between Roman Reigns and Edge. I would suspect that Daniel Bryan would be added onto this to make this the Bill Vegas special and a triple threat on probably night 2 of WrestleMania.
Like that.
If it was me and I'm holding the pen, I would break it up into 2 matches where Daniel Bryan and Edge would wrestle night 1, and then you would have the winner wrestle Roman Reigns for night 2. So that way you don't have too many triple threats, because I think you might have one more coming up. But
you're being much kinder right now than you were online Sunday night, though. Like, that was a bad pay-per-view, if not for the final match.
No, I watched it again, and that's why I said it was a tale of 2 cities. It was 6 matches. The first 3 matches were absolutely hot garbage. Okay. Nakamura and Seth Rollins kind of turned the tide around. My biggest problem with that is it doesn't help the storyline. It was there for the marks. Here you go, marks. Settle down. We're going to give you some, good wrestling, which they gave us good wrestling. Sheamus, Drew, like I said, we've seen it before, but it was still good. You can't take it away from that. And the main event basically saved the pay-per-view.
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Usually, I just said last week that I would be working. I wouldn't be able to tune in, but somebody really wanted an extra shift, and I had a rough week. So I was like, you know what? Go right ahead. And
lazy motherfucker.
Right?
I know.
Get this task.
You have children.
You're going to Portland.
Stimmy hit, man. I got that stimmy.
Oh,
I got 3 kids.
Oh, he's got that stimmy. He's riding high, dude.
Yeah, okay.
Lion's choice all day.
I was say, you going to roll out of bed this week, motherfucker?
Yeah, barely. Yeah. But, so anyway, I tuned in, right? I even watched the kickoff show. It had Ali and Riddle. And, that show's like an hour long. I feel like they could give us more than 6-7 minutes, with such a great couple of wrestlers. But at the end of the day, it was a pretty fun match, except for the angle. I mean, RIP Retribution. they didn't even get a spot on Raw the next day. Like, I don't have any hope for those guys. Like, they got 3 hours to fill, and you can't even, like, give them a segment.
Does the P stand for piss? Because rest in piss, Retribution.
Stop.
One of the worst factions we've ever seen.
No argument here.
Okay, thanks.
No argument.
You're
right. There you go.
There. But so anyway, like like I'm like enthusiastic. Right, it's been a long time since I sat down and like watched like a Sunday show, because I usually work every Sunday, and I usually just pick up the pieces when I get home. And so like I turn this thing on, like the main TV at home, and like I'm trying to have a good time with it, and it's just like mediocre. And then we get to the Sheamus and Drew match, and they beat the hell out of each other, and that was cool. And then we have that crazy Alexa Bliss, like, Randy Orton thing. I didn't even think they were, of course they didn't touch each other, but I didn't even think they were going to have a semblance of a match. But it's like 5 minutes of them not touching. And then, the return of the Fiend, which was expected. And so I turned the pay-per-view off after that, because I forgot all about, like, the main event. Like, that thing had me, like, so tuned out. I was just like, all right, I'm done. I, like, turned on Star Wars and, like, started watching, like, rewatching Clone Wars and having a good time. And then I saw on my friend's BFR post there was a main event. I was like, oh, shit, I'll turn this back on. And that main event ruled, right? Like, dude, like, Daniel Bryan is just a great wrestler. Like, preeminent, like, top talent of, like, a generational talent, right? Like, this match was long and fantastic. I don't like what they're doing with Edge, because this should be such a simple story. The dude had to retire the belt due to neck injury, and then he comes back and he's questing for the belt. He wins the Royal Rumble. This is not a hard story to tell, but they are complicating it, and they're making Edge like almost like an unlikable character, when he should be like the ultimate babyface. This is not difficult storytelling, but whatever they do, it's just weird that they have to insert this like third element. But whether it's, like Jason said, a match on the night one, or whether it's a triple threat on night two, or whatever, I'm fine with it. But it's just weird, because this should be a very, very simple story. But yeah, like Jason said, it really saved the show, because you can have a terrible show with a great main event, and your overall impression of the show like is lifted. And this like lifted my overall impression of the show. If they would have ended with that theme shit, though, this would have been like dirt worst pay-per-view of the year.
Dude, it was on the way.
It's hard to argue with anything that you guys said. I will say that I watched basically the second half. I didn't get home I didn't start watching it until the second half. So everything, but listen, if Jason and Zach are on Friends of BFR on Facebook and you guys are talking shit about it, like talking about how bad it is, I believe you. Like, there's no way that you're going to say something's terrible in a WWE, and I'm pointing at Jason right now, but there's nothing that Jason's going to say. There's no way you're going to say that it was terrible, and I'm going to watch it and be like, nah, you're totally wrong. No, actually, this fucking rules. So I didn't go back and watch it.
Smart man.
Full disclosure.
Smart man.
I will say that the main event had me marking the fuck out, though. Like, even though Roman was going to win, there were some very believable near falls there.
For sure.
To Zach's point, having Edge, that's a heel turn to me. I know that Vince is done with heels and faces. We say it all the time. That's a heel turn, man.
It's heelish at best. At worst. At best, it's a heel turn.
And that does kind of make it
baffling.
Seems
like a heel turn to me.
That does kind of make it baffling, because Roman's already the heel of all heels right now, and can't stress it enough. Don't want to punch the bag too hard, but goddamn, Roman is such a good heel. And like yes, I won't go too far into Daniel Bryan, because Zach already said it. Daniel Bryan is incredible. I mean, he is so much fun to watch wrestle, especially a guy that's bigger, especially when he's wrestling from under as the babyface. Roman Reigns added a lot to that match. Not saying that Zach's not agreeing with that, but man, Roman Reigns played the part so well.
Agreed.
Which is why the Edge thing really, was kind of shocking. I'm not sure where they're going. I don't know if it's going to be. It's probably going to be. I would expect it to be a 2-night event where it's going to be Edge versus Daniel Bryan on night 1, and then Edge versus Roman Reigns on night 2. And predictable is not always bad. It's not always bad. As long as it tells the right story, predictable is not always bad. That shit happens in New Japan all the time.
Agreed.
As long as it's the right story, God bless. And you know what? If Daniel Bryan's going to have this kind of type of match with Roman Reigns, what's he going to do with Edge? I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
You know?
The more and more you talk about it, it sounds like to me this is the best of both worlds. So that way, now that WWE is kind of booking themselves into this corner, I think the 2 matches kind of books themselves out of this corner. If you went triple threat, I think Daniel Bryan would probably take the pin, whether it's Edge or Roman Reigns. So that way you still have Edge versus Roman Reigns moving forward. If you did it where you separate the matches and you do Edge versus Daniel Bryan first, you immediately address the situation where Edge and Daniel Bryan had a little beef at Fastlane. Now we can eliminate that situation, check this dream match off the list. The winner gets Roman Reigns on night 2. To me, that sounds about right. We're just eliminating the middleman. We're just making 2 matches. That sounds about right.
Hard to overstate, though, how much I love this match.
No, like I said,
it was the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match that we've all been waiting for, and we didn't.
So, do you remember the last time they built this? It
Yes.
was whenever the Vintner had like the forklift and like
Yeah.
we've been waiting for this for like a long time.
Yeah.
And dude, this was the best main roster match I can remember in a very long time.
Totally agree.
I guess Elimination Chamber, this was supposed to be the Elimination Chamber match, and I use that in quotations. Like I said, moving forward, I guess, let me jump back for 30 seconds. The reason why you didn't have to watch those first 3 matches, because they were absolutely brutal. Even Big E versus Apollo, the one match I was like, okay, this is going to be a good match. They built it up right. Apollo's heel turn is good. I'm not necessarily big on the accent, but whatever. I can look past that. That botch was brutal to watch. And then they just fuck it.
They killed the match.
Yeah, and they were just like, fuck it. Let's just keep it going. Let's just keep it going. And then next thing you know, Apollo's attacking Big E again. Okay, look. This is going to be, if they do it again for WrestleMania, this will be their 5th match. 5. At this point, I'm agreeing with Big E. Dude, you need to go back to catering. We've done this 4 times now. You're 0 for fucking 4. Take your ass back to catering. Do what you need to do.
He's gonna be sitting in that 24/7 locker room that
you just don't. You wait for
that Lashley went into the other night that had Cesaro and Gulak and everybody. It's like, wait, all the 24/7 guys have the same locker room?
All the Heyman guys, Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo.
Right.
I'm surprised Aleister Black wasn't sitting in there.
Like, all that talent in there that could be in the Best of the Super Juniors. Not to get off point, but let's.
We are watching NJPW, so that's why
we can go back. We can go back, though.
I'll just say this. This is one of those things where, like Bill said, it's real easy. A lot of these angles are there. For whatever reason now, the opening match with the tag team championship, there's no reason for Sasha and Bianca to even be in this match. B, there's no reason for Sasha to take the pin because outside the fact that she's bulletproof and she can do that shit. And then C, why is Shayna Baszler still stuck in this tag team when she's beating singles champions? This doesn't make sense. Okay, Reginald, God bless him, he's from the STL. Go ahead, STL hustle. I ain't mad at you. But he makes this so convoluted to where now you can't even figure out who is who and what is what. I won't be surprised, though, if you see Reginald help Sasha at WrestleMania. That's a bad, bold prediction coming up. But the way he keeps hanging around, he's hanging around for a reason.
If Reginald
I don't even know who Reginald is with now, because he was with Carmella, and now he's just out there doing flips. And I know he's got a crush on Sasha, but he's
just
involved
James
in these other
Ellsworth,
matches.
man.
He is James Ellsworth.
Yeah.
He's totally James Ellsworth.
He's just a guy, like a squirrely little guy that just hangs around the women's division. I don't know why they always go back to this, except for probably Vince likes it, right?
Yeah, it's always simple formulas with Vince, and God bless him for it. It's tried and true, and there's times where you can probably break away from that, but Reginald, for whatever reason, makes people laugh. And he's funny like that. And I
if he was in front of you at QT, would you know who he was?
It's 50-50.
I would not know.
You take the mask away, I might be able to
mask. He wears a mask.
He better wear a mask in QT. You can't roll into QT.
Oh, he doesn't wear a mask on SmackDown though.
Right. But if I
It
see him in
depends
QT,
on the QT. If it's like King's Highway or Gravelway, I'm just looking down the whole time.
hey man, hey. That's my hood now.
Also, if it's a QT in Alton, he ain't wearing a mask anyway.
I'll say that's my hood. You talking about King's Highway and Gravelway? Back the fuck up.
It's my hood too. For now. Any other thoughts? It was. Sheamus and McIntyre beating the shit out of each other. That's kind of par for the course.
Of course, yeah, and that's all I'm saying. The Fiend coming back was very anticlimactic to me, to the point where it was like, okay, let's just move along. I'll say this that will lead into the 2 count. The reason why that Alexa and Randy didn't touch is probably what happened on the final of the New Japan Cup.
Is that your segue?
Yeah, they weren't gonna touch anyway.
Oh, yeah, they definitely wasn't going to touch after the New Japan Cup, but yeah, that's the segue.
Well, they did touch, but only during the pin. And I mean, like, you don't pay me $1 million a year, and I'm only going to show up 50 days. And, like, one of them, Alexa Bliss, is going to straddle me.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
like, more power to him.
While some ghost watches, that's what I assume is happening every time I'm having sex anyway. Just some ghost watching me.
I'll say peeking around the corner
Just
like
my
Kevin
sleep
Hart.
paralysis demon in the corner, you know.
Anyway, we fucked up Jason's segue. Let's get to that. Yeah, there's nothing else to say. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
New Japan Cup. So we had, I'll just skip right to the finals. I mean, there were some other matches that we haven't covered, but I can't actually remember exactly which matches those were. So I'm just going to skip right to the finals because that was the preeminent match of the entire tournament anyway. And this was a tournament of pretty good matches. I liked the New Japan Cup overall. Very enjoyable tournament. I watched every
better
single
than
match.
last year.
Well,
Yeah, I watched every match this year, whereas last year I skipped around a little bit, but I really enjoyed it. And we got to the finals, kind of a repeat of the BOSJ finals, like we said, from 2019, which won the Beefer match of the year. And this was a different match from that because they worked it like heavyweights instead of like cruiserweights or like light heavyweights, you know.
I'll say one ain't a cruiserweight.
I don't know if either of them is.
Yeah,
Well, no,
not anymore.
Then one wasn't a cruiserweight. 2019,
No, but-
Shingo was not a cruiserweight.
Will you let Zach talk?
Okay, I'm done. I'll shut up.
No, that's quite all right. But yeah, like this match ruled. It was awesome. Like I expected it to be awesome, and it was not one of those things where I had expectations built up and it didn't deliver. I had expectations built up and it did deliver. I still think I might like that BOSJ match more, just because it was a lot flashier. But I mean, even in this match, we had a fucking 450 splash from the top to the floor through a table. So I mean, you got your high spots in too, but you know, we just had a different Will Ospreay. We have a Will Ospreay that's really elevating his game, really broadening his horizons in New Japan in general, and also for himself as a wrestler. And it was cool. Like I think, even though it is not my pick, because I picked Shingo to go all the way, I think the right guy won. I think that the things coming out of this, you know, Will Ospreay is on his way to being a world heavyweight champion, not the IWGP, but now he's on his way to be a world heavyweight champion. I don't know that he takes the belt off of Ibushi right away. but it is a fresh matchup. We haven't seen Ibushi and Ospreay for a while, and I'm really looking forward to it. And then, of course, everybody wants to talk about the heel turn, or not heel turn because he was already heel, but the dastardly heel actions of Will Ospreay, where he cuts his promo afterwards and then
Hold on. Let's talk about the match first, because I think that the other thing deserves a separate conversation.
Okay.
I'm watching the match right now. I've watched it. This is the third time I'm watching it. Ospreay Shingo was the logical way to end the tournament. I picked Ospreay from the beginning. You guys picked Shingo. I'm not gonna take any. Oh shit! Oh my god! Well, we won't even talk about that.
Look, I at least own my shit.
But
I'm sure there's a March Madness analogy there that I can't quite grasp because I don't watch it. But I'm sure it's like there was like the U of I thing. It was like Jason, his bracket was busted immediately. Like it wasn't Loyola and U of I. Yeah.
No, that'll be first round. But yeah, same conversation. Go ahead.
this is clearly, I think that New Japan is kind of seeing that the guys that they've had running the place for the last 3 to 5 years are getting a little run down, getting a little hurt. It's time to really make some new stars. I like that Finlay was in the Final Four. He looked great. I would put him as a lock-in for the G1 this year, wouldn't you, Jason?
There's some, I would like to see it, but there's obviously hoops to jump. Let's see what happens in April, because
would you rather have Finlay or Juice in the G1 this year?
To me, it's a push.
Well, I'm asking you which one.
I would actually like to see them face each other.
Yeah, if you could get them both in, then yeah, because that's what makes G1 fun, because you don't see these matches normally.
Yes. Ospreay and Shingo are the future of this company.
2 years from now, I expect this to be a night one main event of Wrestle Kingdom in some form or fashion.
Totally agree. Ospreay is a generational talent. Shingo showed a lot of personality in this match that, maybe he's shown before. I haven't seen all of his matches, but God damn. Oh, we just saw the 450. I mean, Shingo is so much fun.
Man, no.
When Ospreay does the backflip and lands on his feet after the clothesline, I saw some people talking shit on that on Twitter. They were saying it was fake. I was like, yeah, it's wrestling, dork. It fucking ruled.
They probably had to lick the Cheeto dust off their fingers before they typed that out.
Yeah, right. It's fucking fun, man. That's fun. It's fun watching people do that. I think the right guy went over, and before I go up and grab my coffee, I'm going to say this. I think Ospreay takes the belt off of Ibushi at Sakura Genesis. Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I was going to say Tuvia. That's your mark on that one.
There's a little bit of a stress. It's Sakura Genesis, like stress on a different syllable, but yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Here you
different emphasis on the different syllable.
Oh, Jesus. Here you fucking English majors go. God, are you guys done marking the fuck out? I'm sorry, nerding the fuck out. Better choice of words. I got to agree with everything you guys said up to this point about the match. The spot that Bill was talking about to me was the spot of the whole match when you have the pumping bomber from Shingo that usually takes everybody down, but then Will reverses it into like a backflip essentially and comes off and hits him with a cutter. I mean, that's a mark out moment, listing for whenever we do the Beefers, this time next year or whatever the case may be. I was hoping that United Empire would go further as a group in this New Japan Cup, but the fact that Will won it, to me, kind of erases all that expectations. I'm still kind of a little bitter that Great O'Khan lost to Yano, just for the fact that Yano is more comedy, and Great O'Khan could be one of those guys that you can use as a piece on the chessboard moving forward throughout the years. But that's neither here nor there. That's just booking that, everybody can disagree with. But at the end of the day, I like this final. Will Ospreay is an inspired choice, especially when you, like Bill was saying, that you have guys that Okada has back issues, Naito's getting older, Ibushi is still good, but, at some point he might hit this wall too. It's good to start flipping this roster over a little bit. Jay White is basically a made man. There's nothing he can do at this point unless he's molesting young kids for him to go south. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, Jay White is that dude, okay? Before anybody else, it's Jay White. Will Ospreay, after this New Japan Cup performance, going through with the broken nose, having, this great match with Zack Sabre Jr., and then the cherry on top is this match against Shingo. You got two really good heels on one side. You got a shit ton of baby faces on the New Japan side. Heels are what you need at some point to make the baby faces better and make the storyline better. You got two good ones right there, and you made Will Ospreay one of those guys with this performance.
So we've sang the praises of this match. I don't think that we've undersold it. It was a 5-star match.
If it ain't, it's pretty goddamn close.
Are there any other matches from the New Japan Cup that we want to talk about that were as good as this or better before we get into the post-match angle? I loved Ospreay Sabre Jr.
Yeah, for sure. Kenta Suzuki was one of my faves.
Yano, Great O'Khan.
Dude, don't make me pump.
Obviously. Match of the year contender.
Yeah, right. For me, it's way down the end. Two Beer, what you got?
I think the only sad thing, because Bill touched on it, and he's totally right. There are guys that are going to be phased out, or at least phased down, right? Maybe not phased out, but phased down. Okada's only on like a warming section of the stove, right? He's set on that side. He's like on low. He's getting, while everything else heats up, he will be back, right? Because he's Okada. But a lot of these other guys,
32.
Yeah, he's still young, but he's still that guy that has had the best title run of my life, like my living life. Like, it's like Hogan's WWF title run, right? It's like fucking amazing. Like, it was just so good. But for me, for a wrestling fan, he's had the best title run that I've ever seen, and he will be back one day. And unfortunately, for him, gets hurt. Yeah. But there are guys that are getting phased out. Suzuki's one of those guys, because even though he's like 52, I feel like they've kind of slotted him. If not for the pandemic, they probably wouldn't have used him as much as they have. Because remember, he was not supposed to be in the G1, but then they had the pandemic and they slotted him in. And that dude's having some of the best matches of his entire life. Like, dude, fucking amazing. But he's never going to be that guy again, right? So Will Ospreay is the future of New Japan. Jay White is the future of New Japan. And those are the younger guys, and they're both gaijin. And with the expansion of New Japan into a global market, I really feel like those are the guys that are going to carry this company, along with Okada and Hiromu. Whenever he's back, they're going to be the guys to carry this company to a global market.
I wouldn't leave out Shingo, man. Shingo is...
No, but Shingo, I feel like, unfortunately, Shingo is going to be the Ishii of, like, this generation. He's going to carry all these guys to amazing matches. I don't necessarily... he's my favorite wrestler right now.
Right, that's not an insult. We both went, ooh, but that's not necessarily an insult.
I didn't take it as an insult.
I want so much more for Shingo just because
same way with Ishii.
He fucking rules.
Yeah.
You always want more for Ishii.
Yeah, I was going to say there's way too many matches I can think of where he got the short end of the stick of that. I'll just go on Okada.
That ending sequence, I'm sorry, the Ospreay Shingo ending sequence was just on while you were talking, Zach, so I was only half paying attention because the last 3 minutes, of that Ospreay Shingo match are insane.
It's the cherry on top of the cake.
Insane shit. Insane.
Where I was still...
If they played that shit on American television, you would have people in Utah calling up the cable companies to tell them that there was witchcraft. That's how fucking crazy that shit was. That's crazy, the shit that they do to each other.
It was the cherry on top of the cake for sure.
Oh my God, unbelievable.
Like, yes, officer, I'm calling from my 7th wife's phone. There's witchcraft on television.
Right. What are you watching? There's
a Chinaman on TV.
It's a Caucasian, but this other guy, I'm just not sure what he looks like.
Fucking A. Unbelievable.
Two things. Number one, I'm not sure if this is going to be a Shingo Will Ospreay running feud, but this needs to be a running feud. I don't care if this is going to be coming over into the States or staying over in New Japan. These two guys have obviously good chemistry together. Keep them together as much as humanly possible. Number two, just jumping back to Okada, I know that we were saying that, the final was the match that we wanted to talk about. I wanted to jump back for 30 seconds. The 6-man that happened with the night of the earthquake. Yeah, the earthquake was a big deal. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad everybody basically came out in one piece, fans and obviously wrestlers included. But I think one of those things that came out of that 6-man tag is the fact that Okada just doesn't necessarily seem to be on the same page with Ibushi and Tanahashi. Tanahashi and Ibushi felt like, for me, they took the lead with settling that crowd down, taking pictures, all that other good stuff. When it came into the ring, Tanahashi and Ibushi were those two taking the lead with the crowd, doing pictures inside the ring. And then finally Okada came over. And then in the match itself, on the restart, you had the same, I guess, treachery from within, where you had blind tags from Okada to Ibushi and vice versa. I'm not saying it happens right now, but I agree with Two Beer. Somewhere down the line, Okada and Ibushi are going to cross paths for the title. And this was the precursor, the seeds, dare I say, to plant that flower somewhere down the line in 2021.
Okay. Let's get to the post-match angle, which involved, Two Beer, it's your count. Go ahead.
So B. Priestley is apparently not renewing a contract with New Japan. Like, she's still going to be under contract with Stardom. Who is kind of a subsidiary of New Japan, like Asahi TV. So they own it, but she's not going to be on New Japan anymore, or at least her contract's running out, and she decided not to renew it.
And B. Priestley is in a relationship with Will Ospreay.
Yes, and they live together in Tokyo. And so this is what they decided to do. I don't have any heat on the woman attacking a man in kayfabe, or I'm sorry, man attacking a woman in kayfabe. Like, it's a show. B. Priestley can take a bump. Like, she does it for a living. So I don't understand any kind of heat that's generated from this. Not that I've seen any. I don't really pay attention. But I can just imagine that some people would be upset about this.
There's lots of heat.
Yeah, I don't get it. But, it's just a way to generate heat on Will Ospreay, because it's hard to generate heat in a controlled environment where you can't have fan reaction. I was talking about this last week. So you can't have all this like super negative fan reaction. So it's kind of hard for the heels. So yeah, they got Will Ospreay, giving an Oz cutter to his girlfriend whenever they should be celebrating together. And that's a way to kind of write her off and to get heat on Will Ospreay. So, whatever, like, it's an angle. I don't think it's a transcendent angle. I don't think it's anything like new. I don't think it's anything I don't think it justifies like a ton of discussion. It was what it was, and she's gonna go and go back to Stardom and keep doing what she's doing. Like, I just don't see the big deal about it. But it was surprising.
I'll say this, for my part, I agree with you on the surprising part. I can't remember what time it was when I was watching it live on on Saturday, but I literally was like, oh shit, what the fuck is this? And the post-match comments make it more sense, where basically if I'm ready to do this to the woman I love, what do you think I'm going to do to Kota Ibushi? I get that. Totally makes sense. Kayfabe style. It makes total sense. If I didn't say this was a little tone deaf, I would be lying to myself. And the only reason I say this is because it's who the person was, who the people are in this scenario that have involvement in this angle. Will Ospreay, for like it or not, he was a part of the Speaking Out movement last year. Now, granted, it did come back to where he was exonerated, and I guess the guy that was the owner of the building or the promotion or whatever the case may be, that's the person that was blackballing Pollyanna and Will Ospreay, and B. Priestley just happened to be, unfortunately, collateral damage to that. Now, that said, it's probably not the person that you want to have in this angle. I agree with you, Two Beer. I get it. It's the way to put more heat on him. But
yeah, and New Japan doesn't really care about that stuff. It's kind of interesting, the cultural dynamic. Like, I imagine Marty Scurll is going to show up in New Japan. Like, they don't give a shit. Like, they've dealt with worse scandals, you know what I mean? Like, it's not really on their radar. And it might hurt their global development, but, like, just culturally, they seem to not really care.
No, I was going to say Marty Scurll was on the way back, and then they nixed that, I guess, within the last three weeks to a month ago. Marty Scurll was supposed to come back to New Japan, and at the last minute, and my guess is with the possible, I shouldn't even say possible, but there is a partnership. Now, how deep that partnership goes with AEW and Impact, I think that was part of the reason why Marty Scurll didn't come back. But I think the biggest reason why we have this much heat on Will Ospreay is the fact that he was a part of the Speaking Out movement, whether or not he was guilty or not. People still remember that. And I think once he bounced B. Priestley's head off the fucking apron, that was the bigger issue. It wasn't about kayfabe. It was more about, realistic of what's going on in life.
That is certainly part of it, and I'm sorry I missed it. Apparently I left my dog outside. It started raining. That's my bad. Sorry, Reba.
Don't say it.
Oh, you're going to get it. You're going to get it from all those Twitter folks.
Yeah, I'm going to get you like, damn. I'll take over your Twitter for 24 hours. Don't worry about it.
I'll say this. The reason that I like New Japan, like, if you take all the man against woman moves aside, given Randy Orton giving somebody the RKO or...
Oh, that's Bliss. That's the whole reason why they didn't touch.
Yeah, but Randy Orton has given plenty of women the RKO.
Oh, no question.
But Will Ospreay giving the Ozcutter to B. Priestley, his girlfriend, basically, or his girlfriend, it just seems kind of like lazy booking to me. And, like, I say lazy. Zach says there's a hard way to get heat. I get what Zach's saying. What I'm saying is the reason I watch New Japan is because there's none of that WWE bullshit. And that seems to me like it's WWE bullshit. It's cheap heat. I've always said on this podcast that wrestling is best when it's just two people wanting to win the match or two people wanting to win a title, right? And I just think that's the cheapest. It kind of ruined. It didn't ruin the New Japan Cup for me.
No.
It certainly left it on a sour note, though.
Interesting. I didn't think of that. Now that you say it, it is WWE.
You didn't think of it at all?
Somebody said it on Twitter, and it didn't register to me. For me, this, like I said, it was tone deaf in the sense that...
I mean, what is it? It's a domestic violence angle, right?
To me, essentially.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
He's beating up his girlfriend. He didn't punch her. He obviously gave her a move. She can take it.
Right.
She is a professional wrestler.
But in 2021, this is domestic violence. I guess I'll say it like this.
I don't think I'm being the school marm here.
No. The reason why I said it was tone deaf is because if this was WWE, I think we would hammer it a little more. And I didn't trip off of it at first. I just took it at, like Two Beer said, I looked at it as kayfabe.
I don't know why Will Ospreay needs that angle. Just don't know. Like, he's enough of a dick. Like, Jay White doesn't need that angle.
Except they had a match. Like, B. Priestley and Will Ospreay had a match during the pandemic. And
I understand. But that's a match where, if we're talking about kayfabe style, we're talking about two people that consent. Sorry to use that term, like if I sound too bleeding heart, but we're talking about two people that consent to a match who are having a match with rules in it. Like, it's Will Ospreay just out of nowhere cutting a woman. It to me, it left a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't like it.
I'm not going to go that far to say.
And it makes sense that chauvinist, Republican ass Zach Pullman did like it, because he is clearly he's clearly on the record through 198 episodes of this podcast as being anti-woman.
Right. Oh yeah, I say let's not go back through the archives of these 198 episodes.
But
I only don't like the ones that won't have sex with me.
That's
sure.
We do what we need to do.
But I get Zach's point. I get Zach's point. That's wrestling. It might have been B. Priest's idea.
It's wrestling 101. The problem with it is the timing is just bad.
Well, and Will Ospreay is trying to shed this. He's trying to shed this reputation.
And the last thing you want to do is bounce your girlfriend.
It seemed really weird to me. It seemed really WWE to me.
That's why I said that's the tone deafness part of this. Okay, if this was WWE, I think I would have a much stronger reaction to it. Even at the time, I was just like, holy shit, that shit just happened. And then watching it backstage, he comes backstage and he's just like, if I do this to my girlfriend, the woman I love, what do you think I'm going to do to Kota Ibushi? So yeah, in the moment, it all made sense. Stepping away from it, kind of like with Fastlane, I see the tone deafness of it. I get that, and I don't have a problem with anybody else that didn't like it. For me personally, I can separate artists from the person itself.
You should watch the Woody Allen. You should watch the Woody Allen documentary. Then, I listen, Jason. That is exactly the right response for me as somebody that, like, I didn't have a problem with it, but there are people that might have had a problem with it. Like, it's not triggering me.
No,
it's not bothering me. But it could bother somebody else out there, and I think that's important to think about. Not that I'm not trying to be.
No, but I totally get their side. For me, I keep it in the moment. It's not that big.
I just like wrestling when it's just two dudes trying to win a match. No. There might be a little bit of fuckery, But you did say, if you disagree with me, I'm not surprised you said that, because Jason, you're one of the most fair-minded people I know. Now, Zach, we're talking about now we're talking about a close-minded motherfucker. What do you say, Zach?
No, leave that man alone.
I'm obviously kidding.
Yeah, for sure. I was about to say way more liberal than me. It wasn't that big a deal. I get it, but it's just I'm trying to keep this in the moment. And the bigger picture to me is 4-4 Ibushi versus Ospreay, where now I'm looking forward to that match even more so than I was walking into the door, where you teased it to me, where it could have been Ospreay versus Ibushi, or Shingo versus Ibushi.
I'm not sure it put any more heat on Ospreay for me, but I am looking forward to that match, because Ospreay had a New Japan Cup that was out of this world. Not the great story like Shingo did, but he had a bunch of great matches going for it. Unbelievable. now that it's on TV, I just want to mention this before we get off the New Japan Cup. We had David Finlay versus Jay White, and apparently they were real good buddies in the dojo. And Jay White making Finlay look like $1 million was one of my favorite moments of the tournament. Do you have any thoughts on that, Zach?
Oh, yeah. I think that I said last week, David Finlay has a lot of upside, and I like to use like Cody Rhodes' terminology. I like that David Finlay is doing the work, right? Like, he saw that he wasn't in the place that he wanted to be in New Japan, and he moved to Texas, and he's working with his dad, the excellent Fit Finlay, and he's doing the work, and he's trying to better his position, and he's gotten his body in good shape, coming back after an injury. And I've listened to some interviews. He was on I think he was on Wrestling Observer Live, where I listened to an interview with him, and he was just like talking about working out and working with his dad and trying to get shit right. And the dude has a lot of upside, and I'm really looking forward to him having better showings in the future, because I feel like New Japan is a work rate promotion, and that's one of the reasons I like it so much, is because
it's the best.
I like work rate. Whenever I went to talk about wrestling, my favorite wrestlers are often work rate wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like those guys having a match, and Jay White is above and beyond. He's like he's the MJF of New Japan. He is a great promo. He is wise beyond his years, and he's even better in the ring than MJF. And all those haters that said that he got the IWGP title too early, they just don't see it yet. But the dude fucking rules. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah, the Final Four of the New Japan Cup was Finlay, Evil, Ospreay,
Shingo.
And Shingo. That is a pretty good... That's almost like... I hate to use this comparison, but this is the way the King of the Ring used to be. The King of the Ring used to be, who are the 4 guys that we expect to do good a couple years down the road? You
use Jay White to get David Finlay over.
Jay White put him over like a motherfucker, man.
I didn't know that they were friends. I knew they were in the same dojo or whatever, but I didn't know that they're like boys or whatever, so that makes more sense. Jay White.
That's what wrestling is, though, right? It's like...
You get the next guy
you
over.
You always hit your friends harder than you hit your people you don't know.
Agreed.
You always do better whenever you're actually friends.
And Jay White's so fucking good, and he's so far above Finlay that...
A loss doesn't mean
that much, and he made him look like $1 million fucking dollars.
Yeah,
and that's what wrestling is.
Yeah, I was genuinely surprised that Finlay won the match and how good the match ultimately was. You know what I'm saying?
Very fun match. I'm not going to tell people to watch New Japan anymore. If you don't know,
fuck that.
If
I'll
you
do
don't
that
know,
shit.
you don't know it.
You don't watch New Japan. That's fine. You can sit in your little WWE wall, knock yourself out.
We're getting ready to have we're getting ready to have an Andrade conversation here in a little bit. And
I can shit on it then?
No,
Dude, but you guys all just got $1,400 checks. That's 140 months of New Japan. Just fucking free.
You know what? Mine yet.
You know what? I'm calling an audible. Let's do that 3 count.
Everybody's getting their steady but me.
We can do the Wednesday Night Wars on the odds and ends. Let's talk about Andrade. Okay. Andrade begged for his, or not begged, he asked for his release, and they gave it to him without the 90-day non-compete clause. So now Andrade is a free agent.
I don't want to shit on your account, but I feel like it was more like he was like me when I'm at a restaurant and my food's not right and I don't want to say anything, but then my wife's like totally fine with complaining.
You did. No, you did.
He asked, and they're like,
just like, no habla inglés. No habla inglés.
Hey, I asked for no onions, and they're like, yeah, whatever. Like, it just comes with onions. And then, like, the server walks away, and then the server comes back, and my wife's like, no, this motherfucker asked for no onions.
Is that really what happens?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
No,
like,
does Tara do that for you?
No. I would just eat the burger. I wouldn't even let her do that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I would just eat whatever.
Yeah.
Like, give me whatever. I will not complain.
This is not.
And I would still tip like 30%.
This is shiitake mushroom. Oh, I'll eat it. Yeah, I hate mushrooms. Oh,
That's fine.
Put it in a plastic bag next to me.
Nothing to see here,
Exactly.
people. Don't get wifey
Paying
mad.
$17 for it. Oh, this is good. Just like licking ketchup off my finger.
Yeah.
No need
We're
to
like
get the wool
we're like
woman, man.
bleeding in. We're bleeding into the I Know the Owner too podcast, but
Thank
I
you.
know. Sorry.
yeah, but yeah, for real. Like I don't know. Like I wonder if they would have given it to him without because the Charlotte thing, because they're so petty about a lot of shit. But you go ahead. The dude has great upside. And we'll talk about it.
It's just amazing. We've talked about Andrade a lot on this podcast. It's amazing to me that out of 3 hours, Vince couldn't figure out somewhere to put Andrade on every single Raw. Like, how much...
Especially when they won Hispanic Star.
Right. Really, how much effort are they putting into that show? It's pretty remarkable that it seems like they're not putting any effort into it at all. And they granted him his release. Where do you see him going next? Because I think New Japan is probably the most likely place, or ROH.
Go ahead.
He's boys with like Dragon Lee and Roosh. Like those are like his boys. So I could absolutely see ROH, provided that they want to compensate him. And, ROH is a little bit looser. He would be able to work with CMLL and such. But we're in the pandemic, so it's hard to say. Of course, like I want him in AEW because I just want him in AEW because there's so much great shit. I want to see him on Wednesdays.
I don't.
I want to see him and Tay Conti have a match over who gets to use the Hammerlock DDT. But
that's funny.
It's like who's prettier. It's hard to tell, but he'll be wearing a mask, so it'll be safe. But yeah, like New Japan would be dope. He's got options though, and it really just depends on who's willing to pay him and who's willing to kind of go with like his vision. And honestly, if he goes to ROH, like that would get me to watch ROH more often than I do. If he went to Impact, it would get me to watch Impact more often than I do because he is that kind of a star. Like he's that kind of a top guy where I want to see what happens with him.
Jason, what do you think?
So much to unpack. First things first, let's talk about the Charlotte thing, about Charlotte possibly using her influence to get Andrade his release, because clearly Vince was not trying to release Andrade unless something was going to move him to do so. I'll say this much. First things first, Charlotte obviously has COVID. If you haven't been paying attention to Twitter, she has COVID, so her WrestleMania appearance is in doubt, hence Rhea Ripley obviously getting the first crack at Asuka. Now, that being said, if Charlotte is out or in WrestleMania, I think that might be something to kind of sway Vince to get Andrade his release. I'm not saying it happened. I would always doubt it did happen. I'll just go this far. If you're a $4 billion company, it would be more like, what do we need, what we don't need? What can we cut off the fat to make this a $5 billion company? At this point, Andrade is fat. You're paying him to sit there and shut the fuck up. Him, Aleister Black, Zelina Vega, a lot of these people, this roster is still kind of bloated. There's people that are on this roster that aren't even on TV but still get paid to not be on TV. So be it. I don't think that Charlotte personally used her influence or basically held WrestleMania hostage. Okay, WrestleMania is bigger than Charlotte Flair. If Charlotte Flair was healthy and she said to Vince, oh, if you don't give Andrade his release, I'm not going to show up for WrestleMania. WrestleMania will go on. We'll just put Rhea Ripley in that spot. So that's why I'm kind of debunking Charlotte holding Vince McMahon, his feet to the fire. Vince McMahon is bigger than everybody in WWE. Charlotte is not going to hold Vince McMahon hostage. Now that
she could ask him nicely, though.
Yeah, that said, look, okay, come on. You're not working with this man. He wants to go off and do other things. Let that man do other things. Now, as to Andrade, I think he does if he's smart, he does the Cody Rhodes tour force when he left WWE. We saw him at Glory Pro. He went to
AJ Styles did the same thing.
Okay, you bounce around and then you build up your equity and then you hold yourself up to the highest bidder. For me personally, fingers crossed, I would like to see him go to New Japan first because I think
love to see him in the G1.
Thank you. And
that's
I think
what we're looking for, right?
And I think ultimately that's where we want to see him because then you would see him in a bunch of matches with guys that we haven't seen before. Some we have. You put him with LIJ because that's just a simple, smart move. If he went to Ring of Honor, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that because like Two Beer said, there is that angle too with Roosh and Dragon Lee. He can be a part of LFI and then can roll with that. That's the CMLL connection, so on and so forth. For Andrade, the worst thing that happened that he had to sit on the bench for so long. The best thing that happened is that now the wrestling landscape has changed to where he can bounce around and around and then figure out his landing spot and go there. Sorry, Dubir. AEW is probably the worst place he can land at this point.
Man. Jason Christopher Bell. I'll say your real name. I'll say your real name.
Damn, this is deep.
Might be the first time I've ever said your real name on this podcast.
This is the first time.
That is exactly what I would have said. I would have said, you take Andrade. Andrade should go around, build up his mystique, build up. He's 31 years old. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. You know, I was listening to a podcast earlier today where they were saying he's one of the 3 best wrestlers in the world, but they weren't even counting. Like, they don't even. It's pretty weird. Like, once you start watching New Japan, how when people ignore New Japan, it kind of bothers you, kind of rankles you. You're like, motherfucker, like you don't even know.
Yeah.
Come on,
like, there's a whole other door over here that you ain't even cracked.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But Andrade is a special talent
for sure. Ask Johnny Gargano.
And if he's going to work anywhere in America or in North America or in the Western Hemisphere, he should grab Tia Trinidad, a.k.a. Zelina Vega, and bring him along with her. Bring him along with him. No,
They're a great act.
They are a great act, and she's a great promo.
He needs that promo. Like,
she's a great promo.
If you brought the two of them together that's why I say AEW, but with that act, like those guys together. I don't say AEW on his own. I say with Tia Trinidad.
Sure. And I'm not as anti-AEW for Andrade as Jason is, but AEW is top heavy, man.
Yeah.
There are lots.
They have a bloated roster for having a 2-hour show, for sure.
Definitely. And now they've added the second one, the Elevation.
Yeah. You have Dark. I'm just saying this. With Pentagon, Alex doing the Pentagon translation, okay, that's fair and fair enough. But ROH does it where if Andrade came to ROH tomorrow, he can just speak and then the subtitles are underneath it. For me, that's just as good. I want to hear what he has to say.
And what they've been doing with Penta lately has been really cool.
That works for me too.
That's having a translator, but Penta speaks English when he wants to.
Yeah, because
I like that too.
I know I can speak English, but I just want this to be from the heart. That's where the best
The
promos
Miro
come.
thing kind of fucks me up with AEW, though, because Miro, to me, should have jumped to the front of the line.
Okay. All right. So are we going to the Wednesday Night Wars? We done with the 3 count? We done with Andrade?
Yeah, we can be done with the 3 count. That's our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, this is my count. For the record, I thought NXT was a better show, but we'll start with AEW. Okay. So AEW started with KO versus Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal.
KO is very hard to not go with Kevin Owens.
Did I say Kevin Owens?
I thought you said Kevin Owens.
I said Kenny Omega.
No, he said KO, but that's also Kenny Omega. But we think Kevin Owens.
KO. It was. I wrote down KO. He fought Matt Sydal, which could have been a dream match. Not that long ago.
No, I shouldn't roll by.
It was
I
fine.
Agree with that.
It was
I
fine.
agree with that. For the juniors, it would have been like 2 or 3 years ago for a junior heavyweight championship. It would have been great. Now it's kind of like it feels uneven.
Well, they did one 2015 for a junior heavyweight championship, so you can go back and watch that one.
And Excalibur did a great job of amassing the fact that they had this feud in 2015 junior heavyweight style, and then moving it fast forward to 2021.
Cesar Bononi goes against Adam Page. It was fine. It was a pretty good start to AEW Dynamite. I'm not going to dissect every single segment, but we did get Britt Baker cutting a great promo, a really great promo after losing last week, which she did. She lost, but she got over in the process.
But she was not the loser.
She was not the loser. She cut a great promo. She definitely got over in that match, which apparently Dave Meltzer said was the greatest American women's match of all time.
Stop. Jesus Christ.
It's Dave Meltzer.
That's actually not like, I don't think it's like incredibly arguable. Like, I mean, it's one of them. Like, I mean, like, it's like top 3 for me of women's matches that I've seen in North America.
There's just not a very long history of women's matches in America. That's true. I think Bailey Sasha and Becky Charlotte at Evolution, like Bailey Sasha at Takeover Brooklyn, Becky Charlotte at Evolution, and then this match. Those are my like top 3. I would agree with that completely, except I would put Kelly versus Tori Wilson in the bra and panties match in 2003
That's what I'm talking about.
as number 2. Listen, I'm a purist.
That's what I'm talking about.
Puppies!
Okay. Impact needs to have some sort, if we're going to be serious for 30 seconds, if I could be serious.
They have some good matches, though. But I haven't seen... They have like consistently good matches, but like I haven't seen too many that are like transcendent like this match. This match was transcendent.
No, I'm just saying
it was great.
Even before 2021, Impact Wrestling had some really solid women's matches. Okay, when WWE is doing bra and panties, okay, go look up Gail Kim on YouTube. Okay, she was doing things that WWE wants to claim as the women's revolution. Okay, fair enough. You might be the biggest fucking company on the planet, but you weren't doing things that moved the needle like that. You were doing bra and panties while Gail Kim was running people through tables. You make the call.
Christian Cage and Frankie Kazarian had a backstage segment where it looks like they're going to have a match next week.
I got to say the segment was like okay, but the match is going to be dope. Like, what a great introduction for Christian Cage. Like, you put him with Frankie Kazarian, like, that's going to be a really good match. Like, that's smart booking.
A guy that can work in Kazarian, somebody that needs to put himself over in Christian. I'll just say this. Kazarian feels like heelish. Scorpio Sky is a heel. CD might be the next to come over, and now SCU might be the next heel faction. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a little weird where you got Scorpio Sky heel, and it felt like Cass was being a little heelish to the newfound Christian.
Okay, we got Pinnacle versus some dudes. Pinnacle cuts.
Some dudes. Damn.
Dude, that's really like burying those guys because I thought all those guys looked great in this match. I thought it did a good job of getting Pinnacle over because that was the point of the match. But like Darian looked fantastic, even though a lot of his stuff happened during the commercial break and picture-in-picture. I really liked this match.
I'll say this. It wasn't like it was a squash like WCW on Saturday nights. The baby faces got their move set in. This was about the Pinnacle at this point, okay? It's now start to set up what is to move forward. I'll just say this, and I said it last week, and I'll keep saying this until you prove me otherwise. Shawn Spears is the guy that I'm the most worried about. Everybody else is going to get theirs. I'm not a big fan of the fact that Wardlow fends off 3 guys doing suicide dives on the outside, but that is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think like Shawn Spears and Peyton Hoyst like sitting there at Florida condo and like Shawn's like, what is it that's not getting me over? And he's like, you think it's the hair? Like, what do you think about a blonde mohawk, babe? And she's like, oh yeah, I can do
go
it.
ahead and do that.
But she's like, oh yeah, like that's the thing. If you had a blonde mohawk, like, it's just like it seems like he's throwing shit against the wall.
No, okay. When we were doing the pod, when AEW just was the first thing, and Shawn Spears wrapped that fucking chair around Cody Rhodes, that got me excited because I thought to myself, this would be a jump start to somebody that would be one of the next tier guys. Granted, he's not MJF. He's not other guys that we talked about beforehand, but I thought Shawn Spears would be, for lack of a better term, the spearhead of this movement forward. Shawn Spears has been kind of the guy that's been lost in the shuffle. The Pinnacle, I love. Everybody knows I love a great faction. They have the ability to be a great faction. Everybody else, MJF check, FTR check, Wardlow check. Shawn Spears is the one guy that I can't say that, we can have him be the TNT champion. Darby Allin is so far over, you would have to do something so outlandish to make him the champion at this point. There's no there's no second mid-card champion at this point. The tag team title is pretty much locked down. He's not going to be the champion. So Shawn Spears is that guy. Where does Shawn Spears go? To me, he's round peg and square hole.
He's the guy to take the pin whenever they need a loss.
Right. And and Shawn Spears is, I'm not saying he's going to be champion, but he at least to be a TNT champion, a mid-card champion at some point.
Okay, can I keep going?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is my count.
It ain't even a count anymore. This is odds and ends.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Shit,
It's
you're right.
more of an odd than an end.
This is bad from ringside.
Free for all, baby.
QT Marshall comes out, cuts a weird ass promo. Doesn't seem like he had any business cutting. Cody came out and saved him. They're going to have a Cody versus QT Marshall match next week. Arn Anderson is going to be the referee. Not sure what's
Just
going
a heads
on
up.
here. Yeah.
This is kind of a facsimile of Bruno and Larry Zbyszko. Apparently, Cody's been really studying this part, which is a great feud. And Larry Zbyszko came up under Bruno, and it was like it's like the same thing, right? Like Bruno's like, all right, I understand that you're tired of being in my shadow, but if I get you in a hold, I'm not going to hurt you. Like I'm not going to take it too far. Like this is what that is. QT's place for me is much more off television. He's much more valuable off television. I think it's interesting that they're giving him some time on TV, but the dude is invaluable. I mean, we see that with like Tay Conti, who became like a fucking superstar, which you'll get to like in a future segment here in just a second. But like, she's becoming a superstar, and she is really like, I appreciate it because she was my pick for most underrated of 2020 with her improvement.
Mark.
But I mean, like, I'm being proven right. And, but his whole thing is he's a great trainer. I don't know that he's a great television personality. And this promo was a little weird because it was like kind of a work shoot, right? He said, I'm out there taking bumps. You know, it was kind of weird, right? Like Bill said, it was, you know, whether it's your cup of tea or not, I have mixed feelings about it because I like that work shoot stuff, but at the same time, I kind of like getting worked more than seeing that shit.
I just think you have to earn a work shoot. You know, like if you're gonna do a work shoot, you have to be CM Punk. You have to be Joey Styles. You have to be somebody that's been around for a while.
That he's not these guys? I mean...
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Because I didn't know who the fuck he was until a year ago. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. He's not one of those guys.
All righty then.
He's very... he is incredibly valuable, but I don't know that he's incredibly valuable as an on-screen personality. So
no.
I'm interested to see where this goes, but I definitely want him around, but I don't necessarily need to see matches with him.
Honestly, I didn't even think of the Zbyszko comparison until you just said that. Not saying before you even say this, I was not even alive. I will stab you where you sit before you even say that shit. I wasn't alive when that shit happened, but it kind of makes sense. It's teacher getting stabbed by the student. It's tried and true. Like I said, for me, I didn't see Zbyszko versus San Martino, but it makes sense. Now, as you say that, it really starts to make sense. I expect QT to be a little more. That wasn't one thing that I took from that promo. It felt like Cody was being condescending. All right, I'll come out. I'm in the sling. You know, yeah, we can have this match, but if I put the figure 4 on you, I won't put it on you real good. If I got a chance to put the crossroads down on you, I won't necessarily ping you. It felt condescending. And at the end of the day, I'd rather you just beat my ass and be done with it versus being condescending and just say, okay, I can do this, but I won't finish it. I'm with QT Marshall on this one. Lee Johnson kind of played him when he was... They had it on Dark when I was watching Dark on the regular, and he gave props to everybody else and didn't give props to QT Marshall. That was
a nice little subtle storytelling.
Yep.
I didn't expect them to get a segment on Dynamite. Like I expected this to play out elsewhere. I did not expect it to get a segment like to be led up to for next week for Dynamite. So.
Coming up next, we had Laredo Kid and the Lucha Brothers versus the Young Bucks and their childhood friend, whatever his name is, something Cutler.
Brandon.
So I gotta say, Brandon Cutler. I gotta say, whenever I was watching this match, I thought Bill Veggi's gonna tweet. I just don't see it.
No, Brandon Cutler's the shit,
dude. Like he's really talented, and like so I read the Young Bucks book. Killing the Business, and so they have very long history, like straight up kids in Rancho Cucamonga. But Brandon Cutler gets some crazy air off the rope. He's a tall, lanky guy. He is the perfect job guy, and like they don't make any bones about it. He looks great, and then they have him take the pin, and like they don't fuck around with like he's our best friend and we're putting him over. Like no, like he's there to fucking do jobs.
Let me ask you,
this match was high spot central.
Let me ask you this, Two Beer. How did you know that I wasn't going to like him?
Oh, it was just mostly because of his relation to the Young Bucks. That's really it. And maybe because he's super nerdy.
Okay.
I'm looking at him as he responds, so I'm just making sure that he's not lying.
No, I mean, that's not why I don't like him. But, I mean... I don't like either one of those things.
So I was getting ready to say, that's like answer 3, 4.
Yeah, he's just adding on to it. He's just like, he's just proving my point. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. I hate that too.
All right, Dom. I know this.
So his wife is the lead costume designer for AEW, and she does like all the Young Bucks gear for their entire career because they've been so close of friends. And Brandon Cutler has great gear. Like he comes out with like a super dope like leather like cape, and he has that like dragon helmet that's really cool. But
oh yeah, we've talked about this before actually.
Straight Dungeons and Dragons type shit.
Yeah, he's super into like D&D and stuff. So like that's his like wheelhouse, and he also does all the camera work for being the Elite, which is what Kenny Omega said. He's like, go back to being their camera boy, go back to carrying their bag, and that's literally. He has 2 contracts with AEW. One of them is as a job guy, and the other one is as a like producer of like being the Elite. That's literally his job, and like Kenny Omega's making fun of him for it, like for having that job.
I'll just say that's fucked up, but that's why I like Kenny Omega. I mean, okay, the Impact thing, I'll just leave that alone for 30 seconds. This match itself, I'll just say this. I like the fact that you have Brandon Cutler out there to take the pin, but I really wish that we just put Penta and Ray Phoenix back together as the tag team for Death Triangle. Have Pac be the solo singles guy for Death Triangle. At some point, we know that him and Kenny Omega are going to cross horns. It's going to happen. Okay, when and where, that's just, I'll let you guys figure that shit out. But for Death Triangle, the natural tag team is Penta and Ray Phoenix. I like the fact that you mixed it up a little bit, but ultimately moving forward, I really want to see Pac as that guy, the singles guy that we can start to move forward against Kenny Omega. I mean, shit, I love Kenny Omega, but I mean, the more and more I'm starting to think about it, we got a lot of matches for Kenny Omega to be jumping through hoops from.
Yeah. I will say, just for Bill's benefit, I know you guys don't watch Being the Elite, but like, I'll find the episode where the Young Bucks give Brandon Cutler his contracts on Being the Elite, and Brandon Cutler like breaks down in tears because he's got like a newborn baby and he didn't know what he was going to do to like support the kid because he was working like a dead-end job, and he didn't expect anything, even though like they've been best friends since they were kids. Like he was not expecting like to get a job, and this dude breaks down and cries like on Being the Elite whenever they present and it puts him over. So like Brandon Cutler's like high up on my list is like just a fucking dope dude.
Was that before or after the Wednesday night episode?
It was, this was like years ago, like at the beginning of AEW. So this was like about a year and a half ago whenever it was great because even though they're like best friends and his wife's been making them stuff, he didn't expect anything, and they gave him this contract, and he was just he just broke down, and it was so cool, like to just see something good happening in wrestling where we have all this bullshit. And we talk about all these scandals, and we see like people taking care of their own, and because they deserve it, not because they're expecting it. Yeah, but because they actually deserve it. Like, and the dude was obviously not expecting anything, so that puts Brandon Cutler over in my eyes. And the dude, I mean, he's a good wrestler. He's not just like he took a bunch of years off, but I like watching him.
I like him in dark. He can go. I just don't necessarily want to see him on pay-per-views too much outside of dark, outside of dark elevation. Absolutely. He's
That's
good for
the spot.
Yeah, he's good for the curtain jerker. He's good to dominate dark and elevation. Outside of that, I'm good
for mixed tags and stuff. Yeah, for these multi-mans, absolutely.
Okay, up next we had Darby Allin versus John Silver for the TNT Championship in what turned out to be a pretty fun match to watch, a pretty long match that had some shenanigans at the end. I'm still anti-Dark Order just because I really can't tell their tone. Like, I don't know if they're heels. I don't know if they're funny. It's all over the place. It's like the movie Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. It won a couple Oscars. That movie sucks, but that's what the Dark Order seems like to me.
Of course, I liked it.
Yeah, of course. Did you really like it?
I did like it, and I also liked the Dark Order, but I did like this match. Unfortunately, John Silver, it looked like he hurt his shoulder, so hopefully he's doing okay, because I thought this match did a good job with the previous vignette to get John Silver over on the Dynamite audience. Get him. Johnny Hungy get some camera time because he's got a lot of personality. But
John Silver is cool with me.
I don't have a problem with John Silver. I guess to me it's two problems with this, and I won't even call them problems, but just concerns. I will go with this. Number one, Stu Grayson to me should have been the guy that had this championship match. If any guy's gonna lose, that's fine, but to me, John Silver is the WWE guy that has that personality, that has that capture with the audience. Stu Grayson, to me, is the better wrestler. If there was a guy that was going to lose, Stu Grayson should have been that guy that should have lost. Him and Evil Uno were the tag team coming in to AEW beforehand, and now, more what Bill was saying, that Dark Order doesn't have a direction. It feels like
the tone's all fucked up.
Right.
Are they heels? Are they mean heels? Or are they funny heels? Or are they funny faces?
Right. To me, that's where the biggest thing with Dark Order is. It doesn't have a direction. If you're going to be heels, be heels. If you're going to be faces, be faces. To me, they're faces, but then, with the Ty Conte match, she doesn't have anything to do with the Dark Order outside of Anna Jay.
Dude, you just made that sound like it was a dish. You were like, Ty Conte. I was like, ooh, I'll take an order of the Ty Conte, too.
Me too.
Is that an appetizer, or is that
a fucking dish?
Okay.
No, she's the main course.
Okay. All bullshit aside.
We're getting horny?
All bullshit aside.
He's getting horny?
I need
a horny bonk. I need to go to horny jail.
I'll say this. Ty Conte versus Nyla Rose was a decent match. The fact that she went over was the eye-opener for me, because now it feels like Ty Conte, Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker, and Nyla Rose are going to be those four women that are going to be the foundation of AEW, and then you can kind of build off.
Dude, I'm talking about Darby Allin and the Dark Order. Who are you talking about?
We did skip over that. Because there was a Nyla Rose Tay Conti match, but I think you're right. And just because it proves my point that Tay Conti rules, and she's incredibly improved.
Zach agrees with his point that you said.
Yes, absolutely.
What a shocker.
Yeah. 100%. But if you want to talk about this match, I will give credit to Bill, because in this match, it kind of does confuse the kind of direction of the Dark Order, right? Because to me, they're funny faces. But in this match, because Darby Allin's so over, they almost played the funny heels, because Sting had to come out to deal with interference. Which,
it wasn't interference, though.
It wasn't, but it projected that. And it projected that. And I will say, because Dexter watched this with me, and Dexter's my 11-year-old son, and he doesn't watch wrestling regularly.
He's my dude.
He fucking loves Sting, and I did not give this to him.
Sure?
I did not,
Are you sure?
Yeah,
that's nurture. That's nature over nurture.
No, that's a legitimate question.
No, that's genetic.
No, that's a legitimate question.
You guys,
because I don't talk to him about wrestling. I just let him think what he thinks. And
that's
for instance,
genetic.
when I took him to a live Raw, I've talked about this before.
It was on the pod.
So stoked. Yeah, he was so stoked he got to see Brock Lesnar and Ronda Rousey. And when Ronda Rousey came out, he was over the fucking moon. And I had not talked to him about Ronda Rousey at all. And it was just crazy to me. Like, it was so cool to see that kind of natural response, right?
And that's as natural as it gets, too. It's like, it's a child, like, reacting to something.
Yeah. I just put you in there and let's just see what happens. Okay, fair enough.
And so, like, we're watching this match because it was almost bedtime. So I was off work because I usually work Wednesdays and I usually watch late. But I was off, so I was just in the bed, laid up with a headache and shit from my shots, and I was watching on the laptop, and he comes in because it's almost bedtime, and he's like, oh, like, cool. He's like, watching this match. He's like, who are these guys? And then, like, Sting comes out, and he's like, oh, I love Sting. And I'm like, dude, like, how the fuck do you even know who Sting is? You know what I mean? Like, I haven't, like, talked to him. And so he was, like, super into it.
Mark.
I haven't talked to him.
You're right.
Yeah. I don't talk to my son.
Yeah, God
Like,
forbid. I'm sorry. I totally just overlooked that whole point of you don't talk to your son.
I'm just going to say this. Dexter is cooler than Zach. 100%.
That's true.
100%. He's the one.
Cool.
He's the one that got me and Zach talking for the very first time because he was trying to tip over.
Yeah, there was Shawn
that shit
Michaels.
on the left.
The Shawn Michaels. Yeah,
It's still
Dude,
so
he actually
funny.
made us. He made us become best friends. Like, he was just like, he's like stomping, trying to knock over this lamp and like Tara's grandma's house, and like doing the sweet chin music, and like, and
No,
Phil's like, you doing the sweet chin music?
No, I go. He's tuning up the band, and you were like, yeah, he is, and we were like, wait, what?
What do you mean he's tuning up the band?
It was like my first. It was my first Christmas at my wife's family, and I was like, "Oh my god, I just found a friend." Thanks,
Yeah, we were at a funeral. Sting came out to keep it going. Sting came out and he sucked. He sucked dick. He didn't do anything. He's a
Lance Archer is
awful.
the play.
Okay,
Lance Archer is the play. We're going to do a slow build to this. All I would say for the Lance Archer Sting aspect is this. Lance Archer needs to go over. I know Sting is everybody's boy.
Oh yeah, they're not gonna have Sting go over Lance Archer. No way.
Okay.
Like,
are you sure about this?
You guys are on opposite poles here.
Are you sure about this?
yeah, like, dude, they're building Sting up. He went over in the tag match. If there's a singles match, like, Sting is there to get guys over. And Tony Khan's a smart guy.
I would like to think so too, but a part of me is a little, I guess.
I gotta go with Zach here. I think there's no way they put Sting over. Lance Archer has to go over.
He has to go over.
If Sting goes over, then Tony Khan is. This is just WWE
light.
Or no, not WWE light, but like WWE, like the other dimension. Just like
and I don't think Sting would want to go over. You know,
I don't either. He's 63. If he wants to go over, god damn.
I would like to think
douche.
that we're all on the same page.
All right, hold on. Let's get into NXT.
This is banned from ringside.
Because NXT was actually good.
I think it was the better show. All bullshit aside.
Oh, yeah. It started off with Io Shirai and Zoe Stark versus Dakota Kai, Rachel Gonzalez. It was a good match. It filled up the first 12 minutes of the show pretty well. Raquel Gonzalez got her heat going after Io, which was the most important part.
I like the finish. I like how she had Zoe Stark up for her slam, and she kicked Io Shirai off the apron and then slammed her like a 2-for-1, and then she brutalized Io. Like, that bump looked like it fucking hurt off the table.
Yeah, man, that's hardcore shit.
I was going to say, the table usually breaks on shit like that. That motherfucker was like, no.
Well, plus, it's like where Io's head hit was like right where it edges off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No pun intended. But, like, she probably hit it fucking really hard. Next up, we had Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly at the jiu-jitsu place, which I really appreciate that they made it look like it was surveillance video. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole start fighting. I actually appreciate that shit. I think that's the way that wrestling should be now. Instead of cutting backstage promos, have them actually go after each other in real life and have it be caught by surveillance video. That's good, right?
Good, yeah. I would rather that than have a random camera happen to be there, right? You know,
No
that
shit.
breaks kayfabe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool segment, actually.
No disagreeing with that, but I'll hold that, and then we'll talk about that. This segment moving forward.
Let's just talk about it right now. So it's going to be Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly as the main event.
An unsanctioned match, I guess. It sounds like an unsanctioned match.
So let me ask you this. They've been building up Kyle O'Reilly for like 6 months now.
Give or take.
4 months, 5 months, something like that.
Whatever. Kyle O'Reilly is a singles.
He's fought in a couple title matches.
Yeah. He's a singles guy
for the big boy, yeah. He got totally outworked by Adam Cole in that promo section at the end. Did he not? Is that just me?
Well, promos are not his strength at Adam Cole. It's a total package. He can do promos. He can do work.
I mean, I guess that
everything.
might be what I'm saying then, is that Adam Cole is so much better at promos than Kyle O'Reilly. I judge Kyle O'Reilly against Adam Cole, and Adam Cole is the creme de la creme.
Yeah, he's a top echelon promo guy.
Like, if you named all the top promos,
Adam Cole needs to be in this scenario in some form or fashion.
Like, you can't limit it to anybody. You just said all these guys are the best promos. Adam Cole's in there.
Talking...
And Kyle O'Reilly's not.
Yeah.
I'm talking WWE, AEW, New Japan.
So what you think about that segment?
It was a great segment. Go ahead, Tubier. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, the only thing I want to say is even though Kyle O'Reilly didn't deliver it great, I appreciate the story that they're telling, which with NXT has been kind of hit or miss with stories. I love that Kyle O'Reilly was essentially like, man, I'm a nice guy, and you turned me into a bad guy for like 2.5 years, and now I have heat with this locker room, and I have heat with the general manager, and I'm really pissed at you for making me be a bad guy and making me somebody that I'm not. And
that's a great story, and Zach, you just summed it up better than any single video package could. That's exactly what it is.
The dude said I would get some sleep for the first time in 4 years when I beat you.
That's pretty good.
That's it.
That's pretty good line.
Okay.
That's a pretty good line, dude.
Okay. That's some deep shit. You gonna let somebody, and that's just me, you gonna let somebody else have space in your head.
Yep.
Rent in your head to where now he controls sleep for you. Yeah. I'll just say this. For me, I love this fucking angle. Everything about it. This is a 4-year, encapsulation for this feud. I'll just say this. If this is going to be on NXT TakeOver, which is fine, I don't have a problem with that. But this needs to be a main event segment.
Dude.
Whether it's probably going to be night 2 or night 1. I'm sorry.
It should be the end of...
No, it's going to be a cold night event for night 2.
It's night 2.
Yes. Night 1.
Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole will be night 2, the main event.
It's a co-main event. Night 1's main event is going to be the women.
There's no such thing as a co-main event. This is what I always hate about this shit. The main event is the last match of the night. That's the main event.
Agreed.
They can say co-main event.
Yeah.
When Edge fought Del Rio right before he retired the first time and won the match, they called that the co-main event.
No.
That was 6 p.m. on WrestleMania night. That's not a main event. They do that shit all the time. The main event is the last match.
To me, it at least deserves a separate match. It's not going to be. This should be the. I'm sorry.
What are you talking about?
Cole versus
Stoner.
Cole versus Adam. I'm sorry. Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly should be the main event for night one. You can have Io versus Raquel Gonzalez as like the co-main event if you want to go that route. Okay, this storyline has been 4 years in the making. It's fucking basically college / high school, whatever you want to have your best moments in.
Zach, what are your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, this is the story for NXT Takeover. It's the preeminent story. Now, Walter and Ciampa, like, which we'll get to, is the match that I most want to see. But I also really want to see this match because I think it'll be a total banger as far as like star rating.
Let's go to Walter Ciampa, which is probably the match that I want to see the most.
Are you guys as mad as I am that Walter didn't slap Drake Maverick one time? I just wanted to see him chop him to death, and he didn't even take a chop.
Okay, so wasn't that like the most satisfying Walter appearance that you could have on American NXT?
I didn't. Okay,
like that was satisfying.
On the feed that I saw, Walter's
I
match
love that
didn't
Drake
even
Maverick
come
was
up.
passed out while he was getting tapped out, so he couldn't even tap out because he was dead.
Oh, whoa. Okay, yeah.
You didn't see that?
No,
Drake Maverick was passed out while he should have been tapping out. That's why it was done by referee stoppage. That is hilarious.
I can't even.
That's
I like referee stoppage, but I whenever they announced this match, I was like, oh, Walter is going to chop him to death.
Okay.
And I didn't see one
Poor
chop.
Drake.
And that's just me being sadistic. That's just me being sadistic. I mean, good on Drake that he didn't have to take that chop because, motherfucker, I would not want to take that chop either.
Jason Bell, how much are you looking forward to Walter Ciampa?
Actually, all bullshit aside, I think whatever night it is, one or two, this could steal the show. It really could, because obviously...
You think so, Doctor? You think?
Yeah, honestly, I have to really think it could.
Oh, you think Walter Ciampa could steal the show?
It could steal the show.
Don't go out too far out on a limb there.
Because I can't really swim, I can't go too far out there, but I'll just go out there a little bit. The fact that they made this an angle in some form or fashion, whether you see Timothy Thatcher get into this angle or not, is irrelevant at this point. If you're going to tell me that Ciampa versus Walter is going to be a match at TakeOver, I'm already there. The fact that Timothy Thatcher is circling like a vulture a little bit makes it even more so intriguing that we have this match and Thatcher's over.
I'll tell you the coolest thing about this match, and then Zach, you can go, is that when Ciampa came out this last week and he said, I told you that you intrigue me. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. That intrigues me. And he pointed at the belt. Now, Ciampa holding the UK belt, that sounds badass to me. What? You're shrugging at that? What do you think about that, Zach?
I think it's very intriguing. Like, I think Ciampa is right. I think it intrigues him, and it also intrigues me because, I mean, the UK belt has been one of the better kind of storytelling devices of WWE proper, because we've had very long title reigns. Pete Dunne was an amazing champion.
Yep.
Long term. Walter is,
that's it.
Of course, like long term.
Whatever.
And
you joke.
We have this potential where Ciampa is a fucking top guy, great wrestler, and could be one of these guys to dethrone Walter. I don't think that he will, but just like it's not like the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match where he's definitely not. There's intrigue there.
Okay,
it
Zach,
could happen.
Zach, you said you don't think that he will. Do you want him to?
I don't know. I can't answer that because I haven't watched NXT
It's
UK
an opinion show, man. You have to just say yes or no.
Jump in, motherfucker.
You're like Stephen A. Smith.
if I have to say it, if I have to say it, I got to say no because Walter is dominant, and I like him being dominant.
Yeah, I love Ciampa as much as I could love any wrestler, pretty much. But I want Walter to win.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, here's the problem with this. It's not like NXT UK is anything that we watch. We don't talk about it. It's not like it's that
But
thing.
the champions mean something.
Okay, name the last guy outside of Ilya Dragunov that
Joe Coffey.
That we talked. No, okay, then we talked about Joe Coffey.
I didn't even wait till the end of the question.
We talked about it like a year ago. Okay, that's my point. It's not like NXT UK is that thing.
Yeah, but that's what Ciampa could put it on the map, though, for American viewers.
Okay, you really think that Ciampa's going to put it on the map
I'm telling
like
you what,
that?
if Ciampa was on NXT UK, I'd watch it every week.
No, you wouldn't. No,
You'd watch more of it, too.
No.
Zach, who's right?
I would watch it more.
Of course you would.
Come on, Two Beer. Don't be that guy.
He's right, though.
No, don't be that guy.
He's heating up.
Don't be that guy. You know, we got a hard enough time dragging this motherfucker over there watching Impact, where Kenny Omega comes
I don't
on
watch
Impact.
Impact.
Okay, thank you. So all of a sudden, we gonna
I watch
just
Impact,
okay. Come on, man. Don't.
Zach
be
doesn't
that
watch
guy.
Raw. Zach doesn't watch SmackDown.
Look, we're not talking about that.
Zach doesn't watch anything.
We're not talking about that.
I actually haven't watched wrestling in 3 years.
We're not talking about that. Okay, I'm just saying in this scenario for Impact, for the smaller shit, I'm not mad about Zach.
Nobody
not
watches Impact. Do you watch Impact every week?
Every week.
Zach, how often
I
do you
see it
watch
on his
Impact?
Twitter. I'd say once a month, and then I watch the pay-per-views.
Okay, so more so to, kind of not to where I was going to say about Kenny Omega with Impact, but everybody's like, Kenny Omega's not, making the Impact numbers go up. Nobody watches Impact but me. If I'm one of 10 guys
it's
that
just
watch
you.
Impact,
I know.
so that, it's not going to be a big bump for Kenny Omega coming around because it's one of me versus 10 of you guys that don't watch that shit. Fill in the blanks.
I mean, my relationship to wrestling is weird because I think about it all the time. I do not want to watch it all the time at all. Like, I barely even watch it.
I'll just say this. For me,
I kind of hate it.
There's times I do hate it. There's where, like, New Japan is, like, dominating my fucking life. That's when I hate it. When I can't just go to sleep and I wake up and be like, what's happening in New Japan? That's when I hate it. When I love it, is when you have these stories, when you have Rich Swann lining up against Kenny Omega, and we're pretty sure that Kenny Omega is going to win.
No, that's true. Like,
But
when
then-
it's good, it's the best.
But then I see
I agree.
Adam Page down the line
No,
where
that's
you set
not what
you
I'm talking
set
about.
this shit up. I'm telling you. Well, I won't say this because I thought the golden prediction was going to be
Zach,
the
when
prediction.
do you like wrestling the best?
When it gives me dopamine. I need, like I tweeted the other day, I was like, I'm having a rough day. I need to watch New Japan until my brain gives me the feel-good chemicals, right? And that's like, it could be a variety of things, but usually I will agree with Bill. I like it whenever it's two guys who want to win, and I don't know who's going to win, and I'm on the edge of my seat. That's my favorite time.
Man, I'm telling you, that Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns match on Fastlane was transcendent.
No, stop. It wasn't transcendent.
that's-
It was really, really good.
But there's not much wrestling that gets better than that. Let's say the
Yeah, but-
Okay, fair.
For real,
fair.
because it was
let's say there's a
transcendent
baseline at
because-
5 stars. Okay,
No, here's I will tell you why
Stars.
it was. I'll tell you why, because Fastlane is a bullshit pay-per-view where you
Agreed.
expect nothing to actually happen.
And
And
that,
there was moments in that match where I thought that Daniel Bryan was going to win.
yeah, I was
To the point
I was
where-
yelling at the television.
Yeah, to the point
I
where-
really was. I was marking out.
to the point where WrestleMania was in question at that point.
Yep.
Didn't
Okay.
matter.
No, it kind of does matter because I think that WrestleMania at this point should be Roman Reigns.
But when it pulls you in, though.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just talking about that match pulling you in.
Oh, yeah. I thought it was just a bone to us marks to be like, okay, shut the fuck up.
It was 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it was dope.
Ruled.
It was dope.
It ruled.
Yeah.
And that's Daniel Bryan.
And to the point where now we're arguing about whether Roman Reigns tapped or not. We're not even talking about Roman Reigns winning.
He definitely tapped.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I think he tapped the fuck out, and that's why I think we're going to have 2 matches.
All right.
Night 1, night 2.
Next up, we're not going in order, but Bronson Reed beat LA Knight clean. Did you think that was going to happen, Jason?
No. I thought it was LA Knight's time, especially coming away from the
I was
NWA.
impressed with it. I was like, wow, they're sticking with Bronson Reed, though, and that's cool to me.
And that's where I said it on Twitter where I thought if you were going to go with LA Knight, it was going to be hurting Bronson Reed. It's start-stop versus start-stop. If you're going to go with Bronson Reed, LA Knight is Teflon as far as I'm concerned. He can do no wrong. Bronson Reed needs that
He can always get his heat back. But that was only LA Knight's second NXT match, and he lost clean right in the middle of the ring, taking the tsunami.
I couldn't believe it.
I was
I'm not saying
shocked.
it was wrong, but I was shocked.
I was shocked.
I was shocked in the sense that
I thought that LA Knight, I was like, oh, man, that sucks that they're doing this to Bronson Reed.
No.
But I understand that they like LA Knight. He's a big personality.
To do.
All right, Zach, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. It was just so shocking because, like, they presented LA Knight as, like, the dominant, like, free agent. Like, oh, I can't believe we actually were able to sign this dude.
Okay, but
and then
let him
in his
talk.
first meaningful match, he lost. Like, that was it. So hopefully they make something of it with Bronson Reed because, like, that's what you do, right? Like,
I think he's
you
going to
build this
win.
guy up.
I think he's going to win from Gargano at TakeOver.
That's cool. Bronson Reed rules. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I agree. He's a big dude that can move. He looks like Jeff Cobb, who had a couple too many cheeseburgers.
No, stop. I got too many cheeseburgers. Okay, so we're going to go with we're going to go with
you're 3 Jeff Cobbs, dude.
We're going to go with Bronson Reed is going to be the guy to face Gargano. I'm not saying that we can't connect dots. We can.
You don't like that?
I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. LA Knight to me is that guy. And that's where I don't have a problem with him losing because he's so over that LA Knight losing to Bronson Reed is not a major blip on the radar. Bronson Reed needs to be winning because you kind of booked him into this point where if he starts to lose, then we're like, okay, what's wrong with Bronson Reed? I just think that in this scenario, we probably shouldn't have had this match to begin with and just have them meet later on. The winner gets Johnny Gargano.
L.A. Reid is like Candlebox to the Rock's like Led Zeppelin. Like L.A. Reid is or L.A. Knight.
Dude,
sorry,
yeah,
L.A.
I'm
Knight.
black, so make it to me. Make it sense to me.
L.A. Knight is like,
Don't think too hard.
Tupac
Okay.
to the Rock's Biggie. Because Tupac
I was
sucks
thinking more like
dick.
Mace to Puff Daddy.
No, Tupac sucks, man. So what I'm saying is that L.A. Knight's he's just fine, but he's not necessarily that good compared to fuck Tupac.
I'm about to fall over.
Fall over, motherfucker.
Wait, I'm gonna lay down here for 30 seconds. Yep, that's me. That's me right here. Oh my God. He just said Tupac ain't shit.
Tupac ain't shit.
I'm just gonna wait right here for the rest of the pod.
All right.
Stretch
So
that back
I will do a podcast about how Tupac's overrated, but he's still great.
Wow,
nah, he's overrated as fuck, man. Danny Burch is hurt, which
Separated
sucks.
shoulder.
So they are doing a very special triple team match at what's it called? Takeover, Stand and Deliver.
Mm-hmm.
MSK,
GYV, LDF.
Which I think is frustrating to me because MSK won
Thank you.
a tag team chance, but then they have to be in a 3-way. I think that's frustrating for them in kayfabe.
Kayfabe style. MSK is going to win at that one, though. Right?
I would like to think they will win that, but I don't think that you need to have Legado del Fantasma to take the pin. Those young veterans are built up enough to where they can take this pin and move forward versus...
What you think about the Karrion Kross Finn Balor promo?
Two beer? Oh, did he die?
Two beer?
Oh yeah, I did not see that one, unfortunately.
Okay.
Oh wait,
good.
no, I think I did. The Karrion Kross.
We're leaving that in. That's not coming out of the podcast.
Like anything does.
That's how it really happens. What'd you think about it, Jason? I thought it was poetic. I thought that it seemed like Finn Balor was retiring the demon character because he says people wrestle with emotions.
Okay.
Some people call those emotions demons, but now I've realized that they're just emotions.
Okay.
So,
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Yeah,
I
I
took
think
that-
I
I
think
took
Bill
that
would
to
be
a
in
whole
favor of
nother
this because
level.
it retires the demon. So Bill is going to be all about this. I'm okay with it too
I didn't even think of it like that until
you
he just
son
said
of a
it.
bitch, Zach.
because he said demons.
He
So
did.
I feel like the
If
demon's
he's
done.
once he says demons, it's like he's talking about the demon. He goes, some people call them demons,
Right.
but I call them emotions.
Right.
And you wrestle with too much emotion.
And that's
to
where-
Karrion Kross.
Yeah, and that's where
That's an effective promo.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that, but that's where I took that promo and then walked it forward. So where you have, like we said before, Finn Balor actually accidentally, in my opinion, kicking Scarlett or whatever, and then you have Karrion Kross basically laying waste to everybody, Fred and Foe on top of it. I didn't necessarily have a problem with Karrion Kross destroying everybody, but I will say that the precursor to this is I'm not sure that Finn Balor is the bad guy in this scenario. If Scarlett is going to be in this, match, it's wrong place, wrong time. I'm sorry you got kicked, but you got kicked. Was it meant to be you getting kicked? That's for everybody else to decide. For me personally, not so much.
The other thing I was going to talk about was Devlin versus Kushida, and then HBK comes out, and I can't figure out why unless it's going to be a ladder match.
Yeah, that's the only reason. It's just like you have okay.
Okay.
It's just like,
Yeah, but why do you have him come out and say nothing? Why do you have him come out and say nothing?
He doesn't
because
have to say
he is
anything.
the innovator of the rest of the ladder match. Like him and Razor had the
The
preeminent
greatest match ever. He doesn't have to say
because it was
anything.
the first one.
I know who the
Yes.
fuck Razor is.
Why don't you get this segment? Why don't you get this segment? It's pretty simple. He doesn't say anything. He throws a ladder underneath the
That
ring.
is stupid. That's stupid.
What? It's
as fuck.
stupid. Oh my god!
It's just stupid. Just come out and say something.
He doesn't have to say anything. He's the arguably inventor of the ladder match, and then B, more so importantly, he has on the list of greatest ladder matches ever. It could be number one. It could be number two.
You're a nerd.
But one or the other, it could be those guys. He doesn't have to say anything. He's HBK.
Okay. I liked Karrion Kross versus Oney Lorcan.
hard-hitting match.
Yeah, Oney Lorcan rules. Like, he made that match really cool. Oney Lorcan doesn't have his partner right now. It's fine for him to take a loss, and he made Karrion Kross look really good.
I love Oney Lorcan.
No, I almost wish he goes back to 205, but then a part of me is like, no, you can't go back to 205.
Let's get to those odds and ends.
This is banned from ringside.
Not a whole lot here. Rhea Ripley made her debut on Raw. She went right after Asuka. She said, we're going to have a WrestleMania match. Asuka said, I accept. So Rhea Ripley versus Asuka at WrestleMania. What do you think, Zach?
Well, I think that maybe this time it could be Rhea Ripley's time. We thought it was going to be last time, and it should have been, because she's been in limbo for a fucking year.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be. I think she beats
Yeah,
Asuka.
and Asuka's had a very mad title reign, even though Asuka rules. But this has been a very mediocre title reign. She had the belt handed to her, and she's barely done shit with it for almost a fucking year.
Jason,
That I'll agree with.
Jason, what do you think?
Charlotte is in play. Ric Flair is saying that she's out. Andrade says she's in for WrestleMania. That's why I'm saying that the men's Universal Championship is in play, because right now, like I said, as of taping, it is still Edge versus Roman Reigns. If you're getting Charlotte back in, that's your triple threat match, and then you do Roman Reigns gets the winner of Edge versus Daniel Bryan. Ultimately, to me, Charlotte being healthy is the most important thing. Period. Now, how you figure out?
I'd rather see Ripley versus Asuka than have Charlotte involved at all.
You want to see Charlotte versus Ripley part 2.
You're talking Mr.
Right.
Triple Threat.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
You're telling me, Mr. Triple Threat, that I don't want a triple threat?
So, okay.
I don't want a triple threat.
So,
I'll take the triple threat.
okay.
I'm sorry that you guys are going to be dead when Andrade and Charlotte's kid debuts, but you're going to be a great wrestler.
Damn, dog. How long are they going to have kids? It's going to be like 10 years? I mean, if I got 10 years to live, that's all you have to say. 2021, 2031. It's game on for the next 10 years. I will piss in your fucking face for the next 10 years.
Just take the L. He just killed us.
No.
Miz came out and bad-mouthed Bad Bunny. Like, I don't care. You know what? I don't
Why is
care.
this a singles match? Like, why do you not have a tag match? Like,
It'll
it was
probably
built
be a
up as
tag match.
No, this is it should be a singles match.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
No, this is WrestleMania season.
I don't want to talk about it. You want to talk about Bad Bunny versus Miz? You want to talk about it?
I'm not talking about it. No, I'm fine with not talking about it.
Thank you.
Shit.
Thank
That's
you.
what we ain't talking about it.
Okay, Jason, The Miz, Bad Bunny.
Really not myself.
All right. Okay, so they took the belts off of the Hurt Business just to put them on the New Day, just so it could be AJ versus Omos, which nobody knows how to say. Jason, what do you think about the match? It's going to be a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, and we said it. Well, you said it last year, and I'm going to piggyback on this.
Barnum and Bailey's made this match.
Okay.
They're like, put the two Africans in there, and
I go that far.
Put the little white guy, and put the very tall black guy in there.
I wouldn't go that far,
Okay.
but WrestleMania is a spectacle, if you will. That's why Bad Bunny is going to have his match. That's why you're going to have New Day have their match with Omos. I'm not a big fan of the fact that we're going to do this, but it is what it is. No, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's go like this. Jinder Mahal is. Well, I don't think Jinder Mahal is getting into the WWE Hall of Fame, but kind of like Great Khali is getting the Hall of Fame, right?
So
you know what I'm saying? Yeah. To me, it's a spectacle. It's not necessarily what I want to see. It's not what I want to pay for, but it kind of is what it is.
Well, each generation needs their giant, and if Omos can deliver, like if they're training him, and if he can deliver, then like that's fine. Like if they're gonna take it off the Hurt Business just to give it to AJ and Omos like turns out to be a good wrestler, then I'm not gonna be mad about it. Like I am upset that they took it off the Hurt Business because they're a good act, but if that's the direction they're going, I understand it because New Day is a bigger act than the Hurt Business. So if they're going to take the titles off of somebody, they might as well take them off New Day because they're 11-time champions, so that's a bigger act. So,
and it's not going to hurt New Day by any question.
Not at all. No, not even a little bit.
My only problem with this is the kind of build to this Hurt Business losing it again. When you had the start-stop where they did like 3 matches in one night on Raw, that's not a good look. And I'll just go one step further. When you have the Hurt Business kind of interfering with Bobby Lashley in their match against, I'm sure you didn't see this, their match against Raw, on Raw against Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus, where you had Lashley kind of playing the role of Roman Reigns or whatever. Not a huge fan of that. Okay. At the end of the day, I'm not mad that the Hurt Business, they are who they are, but Benjamin and Alexander probably deserve a little better than what they're getting right now. The fact that New Day won that match to win the titles is totally about the fact that WrestleMania will have fans. If they didn't have fans, to me, this is probably 50-50. I think New Day is they're legitimately over. Hurt Business needed to have that win to get themselves over. Go ahead.
Okay. Last thing. Do you guys watch Randy Orton and the Fiend segments?
Yeah.
I don't. Do you watch it, Zach?
Not usually. I usually catch up on clips and commentary. It is historically tiresome. I am a little bit intrigued with the Fiend's return and his new outfit. The charcoal. Well, he's like burnt, right? He's got a new thing. He's all burnt up. He's like Freddy Krueger. So that intrigues me a little bit, but like the fucking it's so tired, man. Like if you talk about the worst segments in WWE over the last year, they've like almost all been the Fiend, and it sucks because he could be cool, but in Vince's hands, they're not cool.
Yeah,
Dude,
he's exactly right. I can't watch Fiend shit. I haven't watched Fiend shit for 4 months.
The Fiend has not been the worst segment in the
dude.
The
only good matches he had was Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was the only good feud he had. That strap match was like the only fucking good match ever. And then he killed Seth Rollins as a face. He killed Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is dead. He's dead. Like, I fucking hate Seth Rollins right now. Like, that takes a lot.
I have to go with my cousin-in-law, Zach, on this one.
That means he's white or anything.
He's exactly right. It has nothing to do with him being white.
Look.
Well, I shouldn't say it has nothing to do with him being white. It has a little bit to him.
I said on the Beefers, I said that the Fiend was overrated, without question.
Ooh.
No, we could go back on that. Yeah.
Oh, the Fiend's overrated.
No, I said it. Okay.
What a crazy claim.
To a certain aspect, it is a crazy claim, depending on who you say it around. I'll just say this. I'm not a big fan of 3 months away, and this is the payoff. That was the payoff.
This is the story they were telling.
Okay, but that's not a good payoff.
That was a great question for a dinosaur.
If that's the payoff, then that's not worth 3 fucking months. Alexa Bliss is cool to look at, but after a few weeks, it's not going to be enough. I need more. And in this scenario, there is not enough to be, I love you, but Alexa Bliss straddling Randy Orton is not enough for me to be like, okay, let's erase these other 3 months of bullshit.
All right.
Definitely not. I don't say that it's worth that. I just thought it was intriguing, but it still sucked. But it definitely popped me a little bit. Not as much as it popped Randy Orton.
I'm not saying I'm glad nobody sees our group chat. Our group chat. You, me, and this guy's group chat. There might be a little bit of
Come on, Titty. Come on, Titty.
Now, hold on a second. Our group chat's not that bad.
No,
This has been the most stoned, drunk.
No. I disagree with that. Totally.
We're on like 2.5 hours.
No, I disagree with that totally.
No, I promise.
No, I disagree.
If they're
with that
still
totally.
listening, they probably have my phone number or your phone number. Nobody listens this long. 2.5 hours?
You'd be surprised.
No, I don't think I would.
Bill's like at last call, like he is a Jack Badgers. He's like, get the fuck out. I don't care if you're mad at me. You probably have my phone number.
Classic
You can text
Bill.
me about how mad you are.
I know this is
OMG.
entertaining.
OMG.
I know
that
it's
is
entertaining.
so Bill. That is so Bill. I guess I was like, what, last week? You know, we're kicking everybody. Well, he's kicking everybody. Me and
Kicking
my boy.
everybody out.
He's like, get the fuck out. If you're not fucking a part of this fucking crew, or you're not getting paid by us,
hate
you
them
can
all.
get the fuck out. Blah, blah, blah. Me and my boy are sitting over in the corner like, we ain't a part of this crew, and we ain't getting paid. But, you know, and it's the worst. We're the two black people
We got some
over there.
birthdays here. We got Charlie Haas is 49. We have Mr. Perfect.
R.I.P.
Would have been 63. Umaga.
R.I.P. once again.
Would have been 48. Mustafa Ali is 35.
R.I.P.
No, dude, no, he's still alive. Stop it. I was going to say that, but you can't take my joke, number one, and two, he's still alive.
Michael P.S. Hayes,
Alive.
62. Yeah. We have Mike Rotunda, a.k.a. IRS. He's 63. And Trent Beretta.
Get
Yeah,
held up.
what a
No,
guy.
I'll say, no, okay.
Dude's only 34.
The archive or arcade asylum match. Womp, womp, womp. I said it.
Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours.
I'm about to put on some cool, comfy sweats.
Look like you have no
For
real
Jason Cornelius Bell.
Jack.
For 2 Beer Zach Pullman. For
Jack.
F&B Eatery.
Jack.
For Vice.
Jack.
For Dan Reuter, who was a special guest, a.k.a. tonight. Black
Jack.
Lives Matter.
Jack.
For Murray the Man Murray.
Jack. Happy birthday, Murray.
Happy birthday, Murray. Support your local weed dealers.
Jack.
Support your local restaurants.
Jack.
Boo the heels. Boo!
Boo! He said boo-boo.